Hi guys, welcome to my deck tech for Karlov, the Ghost Council. This deck is a fair bit more powerful than I expected it to be when I built it. It's not CEDH powerful, of course, but because it has a lot of ways to win, it just gets there more often than I think it should. So, Karlov says, whenever you gain life, put 2+1/+1 counters on Karlov. White-black, remove 6 counters from Karlov, exile target creature. Karlov gets very big very fast because you get 2 counters for each trigger, so if you gain 1 life, you get 2+1/+1s. But if you gain 10 life, you still only get 2+1/+1s, so we want to focus on number of triggers, not amount of life. We'll swing back around to that later, and I'll show you how to get so many life gain triggers. But first, let's talk about the win conditions. So Karlov is capable of getting really big, really fast, which means he can commander damage out your opponents, and I'm surprised how often that happens. We've got 2 cards to help with that. We've got Key to the City, which makes him unblockable and has a rummaging effect attached to it. It seems like nobody plays this card, but it's been an overperformer for me. Plus we got Rogue's Passage. You probably already know about that one, but it's good in any deck where you might want to commander damage them out. Wait, one more, Shadow Spear. It's a 1 mana equipment that equips for 2. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. So it lets him get some evasion to get in for commander damage with trample. And he's usually really big, so it gains you a lot of life. Plus it's got a bonus on there. Pay 1, permanents your opponent's control, lose hexproof and indestructible to end of turn. That's just icing on the cake. Alright, Felidar Sovereign is another win condition. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. It's not the most fulfilling win, but it works fine. Another path to victory is turning your life gain into life loss for your opponents. We've got 4 cards for that. Sanguine Blood. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And Defiant Bloodlord, which is just the same thing on a body. Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose has the same ability, but can also give your whole team lifelink. And Vizkopa Guildmage, which is a little pricey to activate over and over, but it gives target creature lifelink until end of turn, or whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life, which none of the other 3 do. All 4 of those are great cards on their own, but when combined with Exquisite Blood, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. All you gotta do is gain 1 life or lose 1 life, and it goes infinite and kills all your opponents immediately, so that's another win condition. Aetherflux Reservoir, another win condition. It's a 4 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. That's life gain triggers for Karlov, and a way to knock a player out. Nice. One more pseudo win condition, and this one's not very good. It's 5 mana, 2/6 Angel with Flying Double Strike. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attacked this turn loses the game. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing if you like videos like this. I'm really having a good time making them. I've watched so many deck techs over the years, and it's been a lot of fun making a few of my own. Alright, I think it's time we talk about the life gainers. Now remember, we want life gain triggers over just big life gain. This first batch of cards I'm going to show you does just that. Soul's Attendant and Soul Warden, 1 mana creatures that let you gain 1 life every time a creature comes into play. These are by far the best creatures to have in your opening hand. There are a lot of creatures that look similar, but remember, these 2 gain life for every creature entering the battlefield, not just yours, where a lot of them are just yours. So this means like 4 times as many life gain triggers. Auroch Champion, the same thing, but 2 mana, and also has protection from red and black. Daxos Blessed by the Sun only triggers off of your creatures entering, but it also triggers off of your creatures dying. So that's pretty solid, plus it's a really good blocker a lot of times. Blood Artist, whenever it or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, and Falconwrath Noble does the same thing, but costs way too much mana and you probably shouldn't include. But these are great for board wipes, and just random deaths in combat. Blind Obedience has Extort, which means whenever you cast a spell, you may pay white or black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. Also, artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter tapped, and that slows them down more than you'd think. This deck wins with commander damage occasionally, so having your opponent's creatures tapped is a big plus. Revenge of Ravens and Orum's Prayer, they both trigger a life gain for each creature attacking you, which can be a lot if you're in a combat-focused meta, but otherwise they're kind of underperformers. Sunscorch Regent. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Sunscorch Regent, and you gain 1 life. I really like this one. A lot of the other cards aren't going to win you the game on their own, but this one left unchecked can get really big and can help you close out the game. Archivist of Ogma, a 2 mana 2/2 with Flash. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain 1 life and draw a card. This one won't gain you as much life as some of the other ones, but it'll draw you cards. Every deck needs to draw cards. It's great. Last one I want to talk about is Sun Droplet. It's an artifact for 2 mana. Whenever you're dealt damage, put that many counters on Sun Droplet. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, you may remove a charge counter from Sun Droplet. If you do, gain 1 life. It's harder to kill, it doesn't die from board wipes, kind of gains you 1 life a turn. It's decent. Alright, now let's talk about some other life gain payoffs. Archangel of Thune has, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This is kind of like Karlov, where it triggers off of each instance of life gain and not the total amount. This is a great way to make all those little life gain creatures you've got into big beaters. Resplendent Angel and Valkyrie Harbinger. They both make you 4/4 angels at the end of each end step if you gained enough life. Because of mana cost, one is obviously a bit better than the other. Then we've got Well of Lost Dreams and Bolas's Citadel to turn all that life gain into card advantage. Bolas's Citadel is also capable of closing out a game too if it comes to it. I want to talk kill spells and removal, but before I do, I want to talk about Karlov's own removal. He has white-black, remove 6+1/+1 counters from Karlov, exile target creature. Don't underestimate that. Your opponents are probably going to underestimate that, because they might not realize how quickly you're going to get those counters on him, and get those counters back on him if they can't remove Karlov. It's nice to give Karlov huge power toughness, give him lifelink, or swing in for the win, whatever, but sometimes you just gotta suck it up and remove those +1s to take out the biggest threat on the board. And I feel like having some decent removal on my commander gives me a little bit of leeway with what other spells I can get away with playing for removal in the deck. Okay, we have a couple life gain removal cards, which I normally wouldn't play because they're not costed very well, but I'm trying to maximize life gain triggers here. So I've got Recumbent Bliss. It's an aura that says enchanted creature can't attack or block, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may gain 1 life. Consuming Vapors will make your opponent sack 2 creatures and you gain life twice. Noxious Gearhulk kills a creature when it enters and you gain some life. And the surprisingly great Kaya's Guile. For 3 mana, it's an instant, choose 2. Each opponent sacks a creature, exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard, create a 1/1 black spirit creature token with flying. You gain 4 life. And it's got Entwine, so you can do all of it if you want. A couple more notable cards. Ajani Strength of the Pride, because his 0 says, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, exile Ajani and each artifact and creature your opponents control. So it's a one-sided board wipe, and the other abilities are pretty good too. Liza Shroud of Dusk is a big life-linking beater, plus it's got, whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. That'll just help chip it away your opponents a little bit more, plus you've got the life to spare. Mangara the Diplomat draws you quite a bit of cards in his lifelink. Eradicator Valkyrie is another flying lifelinker that can make your opponents sacrifice creatures, if you do too. For lands and mana rocks, you want ones that gain you life. Who would have thought, right? Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but a couple notable ones are Sarah's Sanctuary, which gains you a life when it comes in, and whenever an angel enters the battlefield, you gain 1. And I have a surprising number of angels in here, so you just get some bonus ones that way. And Pristine Talisman, which gains you a life every time you tap it for mana, so that's pretty great. Alright, that's what I'd consider the core of the deck. The rest of the deck is filled out with tutors, card draw, removal, other good creatures, life-linking creatures, you know. If you have any advice for cards I should put in the deck, throw those in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching.